You have to have like crazy network stuff to run live stuff. I don't know. It ain't worth all that to me.
Nah, not for us, not yet. Let's start with getting better cameras.
You know, if we want some investors that want to pay for that kind of stuff, we'll talk.
Tony Stark?
Tony, yeah, that was a little overboard for what I was thinking, but that works.
Well, hello and welcome, everyone.
Hello and welcome
to Cause and Defect, episode 11. This is the show for serious conversations with not so serious people.
That is correct.
Yep, and Brennen Jones and Chase Duncan here with you.
It couldn't be any more truer, because is that a word? It's good enough.
It's what are you talking about?
People,
spit it out.
The fact that we're not serious people at all.
Yeah. Really, generally now.
Try to have serious conversations, but you know.
We have a lot of serious conversations, but we're not serious because everything is very lighthearted for the most part.
Try to be,
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not that we don't talk about serious stuff, because we do overwhelmingly talk about serious stuff.
I guess the majority of all of our episodes is usually serious stuff,
which is important.
At least half the episode.
It's important. But today, our episode 11 is going to surround space exploration.
Yes, fascinating topic.
Yeah, I think we're both pretty entranced by this. Brennan is probably a little bit more
gay,
educated, definitely gay as well.
I wonder how many people really think that's true.
I don't know,
just
man.
In general,
the more you say it, the higher that number goes. So just keep talking.
Yeah, true.
You'll get everybody.
It shows you how little I care about it. It's funny. I always tell people it's always gay guys that like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about.
Never the people I prefer, but
never the gay guys you prefer?
Yes. No. Not what I was going for. Don't put words in my mouth.
Okay. I'm just trying to draw some conclusions here.
Yep.
Or maybe I was jumping to conclusions.
Yeah. I don't think you really tried to get down to the bottom of anything there.
Generally, no. Not with you. It's all pretty upfront for me.
Yep. I agree.
So today we're gonna start the podcast with a little round table discussion section.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really have a lot of segments where we can just speak freely.
Yeah, just talk. It's usually on some sort of topic.
Yeah,
so.
we're gonna do that for a little bit.
I feel like the first episode was the only time we talked about ourselves and what we did, and then even that felt so scripted. It didn't come off the right way.
Right, and we were more or less trying to give an idea of why we were starting this podcast and our backgrounds, not as much of the people that we really are now.
Yeah.
And the more actual normal conversations that we have under the spotlight or under the scope, the more people will have an idea of the type of people that we are.
Yeah, true. I don't think you get a lot of that, which is why I wanted to do this little segment. So I don't think you get you get some of our personality just with the stupid shit we say in the games that we play, but never just a day-to-day conversation like we would usually have.
Mm-hmm. Right. So we're going to use our first segment for that. And then for the last segment, we're going to have a new segment called Spill It.
Spill the beans.
And it's basically going to be a game where we say a random verb or noun or any kind of adjective, whatever, and the other person has to say what came to their mind immediately.
The first thing. It's just got to pop out. I don't want any thought going into this.
Right, so real rapid fire type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So let's jump into our first little round table discussion section. We're already in it. So I wrote down a few bullet points. If we don't hit them, that's fine.
What you got? What you want to start off with?
I was just gonna let the people know what I've been up to, man. I'm on furlough right now, so I have a lot of time at home. I still have a job securely in place, and I still have my medical insurance and all of that good adulty stuff. But I just don't have to work right now, and I don't get paid either. So
yeah, that's the downside of it. But even though it seems like the people that are not working are getting paid more than the people that are working.
Why? Because they're dealing drugs or something?
Nope, had nothing to do with that. I just meant the benefits and everybody just getting unemployment plus stimulus checks plus all this other shit. People are making a dumb amount of money just doing nothing.
Yeah, and they waste that shit, man. I know somebody personally who spent their entire stimulus check on a new computer. It's just people aren't using it wisely, man.
Yeah, I hope he goes hungry next month. Sorry, I said he because I know it is.
That would be funny.
You know what I thought was hilarious though? So it just caught my attention. So I'm just sitting at a stoplight the other day, and some guy just fucking is like pulling a right turn and just is flying, just driving recklessly. Anyways, I don't care about that part, but he had a mask on.
Oh, well, that's safe.
Yeah, sure. I guess that's safe. But he's staring at a cell phone. So
what is this guy?
So in my mind, I'm just thinking that like people are so nervous to go outside right now, and like just nervous to be around people and feel like they need gloves and masks. But you're willing on a daily basis to operate a 2-ton vehicle at 60 miles per hour while staring at your cell phone. Like, how does that make any sense at all?
Man, that's just something that I'll never understand. I guess I do in a way, because people feel like they're in a fucking video game when they get behind those panes of glass.
Yeah.
They don't realize that this is actually reality. I know it's real easy to steer your very heavy metallic object,
Right.
but it doesn't mean you're not like part of the stuff that's going on around you.
I think first of all, people are just way comfortable with driving. We drive every day. It's, you get used to it. But at the second time, I think people, like a lot of people that just wear masks and stuff, are just doing it for the main reason because everyone is talking about it and telling them to, and it's just like a way for them to feel included. Like if you aren't positive for COVID and aren't coughing on people all the time, then I don't really think you need it. I can see other times, maybe if you're in a store and you are talking to people face to face and you don't know if they have it and they don't know if they have it, maybe it's a good idea to have it on.
Yeah.
But you're driving in your car by yourself.
I don't think that does very much.
Yeah, you probably don't need it. So I think it's like a fad now. Like everybody's got to have a cool mask right now.
Right.
But I'm very fine with, like I said, driving a vehicle way faster than I should be, not even looking at the road and all the other people on the road.
Right.
Like that's going to kill you way faster than a virus will. It's just so bizarre to me.
Yeah, that's like along the lines of I saw some posts a long while ago that said that people are concerned about wearing masks, but they're not concerned about wearing condoms.
Yeah, I think you said that on here.
Yeah, probably did.
That's just bizarre to me. I don't get it. But, people, it's just like whatever everyone else is paying attention to, that's what they'll pay attention to.
Yeah.
If there was like some huge pandemic where people just start dying in well, we do have a lot of car accidents. I guess people just still don't give a shit.
The car-demic.
Yeah. So what have you been doing with all your free time? Since you are furloughed. Oh, speaking of that, I didn't really say anything about myself. I still work 40 hours a week and go into the office every day, and nothing has changed for me at all. Besides the fact that people act weird and don't want to touch anything. Going through drive-thrus now is even different. At Chick-fil-A, they had like a table with a tray on it. They put your food, like your bag, into the tray and just push the tray out to you. And you grab your food and just drive off.
Chick-fil-A is really just on a whole nother level.
They are. There is no, at least in the Southeast, there is no other fast food restaurant that compares to them.
No.
They don't. They're so well mannered. So everybody works really quickly.
The combination of quality food and amazing customer service.
Amazing customer service.
And how often do you hear that about a fast food chain? Oh, amazing customer service.
Never.
Yeah, you don't.
It's funny that even if someone says my pleasure now, like no matter where they are, you immediately think of Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
I was at like Bojangles yesterday and somebody was like, yeah, okay, my pleasure. And I was like, I know where you've worked before. There's no reason why you would say that.
It wasn't your pleasure, you fucking liar.
Actually, it's all my pleasure. I get to eat the food that you slaved over.
Right.
Or someone there did.
And somehow you're ipso facto paying their little wage or whatever.
Their little $8 an hour.
Yeah.
I can't believe that minimum wage still is $7.25.
That's pretty nuts, man. I don't
That is
know.
nuts. That's what, like $15,000 a year, maybe?
I don't know. I haven't done the maths myself, but I can tell you that unless you're completely single, incredibly low maintenance, and live in a dumpster, that's not going to do anything for you.
Honestly, like I make a decent amount over $7.25 an hour, and even living by myself is tough. Like there's hardly any apartment or even like a piece of dump unless you go get like a trailer out in the woods somewhere. Like you really can't live by yourself. You can't, because you first of all you can't pay for it, and you won't even probably get approved for it because you have to make like 2 or 3 times the amount of that, rent or whatever. So if you're making, I'm not hating on anyone that's making $725. I've been there myself, but there's just no way to live. That really is entry level. Like, you live with your family still. You're starting to get out into the workforce. What makes me sad is when I see like fucking 30, 40-year-old people working in fast food or working at Walmart.
Even in like 70s and 80s.
Yeah, well, that makes more sense to me than a person, like a young person with kids and a family. Like, that person's on their outs. They probably get in retirement anyways.
And enjoy
Social
doing
Security.
it.
Yeah, they just want to be there so they can talk to somebody for 4 hours a day. But the people that really like have kids going through school and stuff, and they make even $10 an hour, like, it's really difficult to live off that. I couldn't imagine having to pay for my own place and feed someone else off of $10 an hour. You can't do it. No wonder we have so many people on like welfare and EBT and shit like that.
Right. Bruh, I know that you guys working for that kind of low wage would not, I don't know how many people, very few, I'm sure, enjoy waiting tables.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
But the time that you spend there is worth a lot more than $8 an hour.
Yeah.
You should consider going to wait tables somewhere. Clean up your act, even the tiniest amount. If you I don't know how to phrase this, just if you don't have basic table manners, then maybe take an etiquette class or something and then go wait tables.
I think that's what's tough for people is a lot of people just don't even have that personality. Like, they're just rude and kind of, I don't want to say rude, but maybe people just aren't very eloquent with their words. A lot of people don't say, hey, how are you today? Like, a lot of people don't do that. Like, just standing in I was at the gas station before I come here. And it's so normal for me, like the attendant's there, and I'm like, hey, how are you today? Like that, and that is abnormal, for someone to ask that gentleman how he's doing and have like small talk with him. Other people are just like putting their shit up there, don't say anything, grab their shit and walk away.
Yeah.
Like I can imagine that person trying to serve tables. You know what I mean?
I understand that.
It's a whole different environment.
I mean, at the same time, though, I get why people don't even bother.
Yeah, I do too.
It's all, to me at least, very, very superficial.
It is, yeah.
And you can ask me how my day is, but if you don't know me, the odds of you actually caring how my day was,
no,
very slim.
Yeah, I mean, I know you and I don't care. So, but for real, I it's just like, I don't know if that's like a Southern type of hospitality, courteous thing. Just say,
Possibly.
hey, how are you? Like, not that I'm gonna go home and think about it, but it's better than just not talking to you at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that just is weird to have interaction with someone and just not speak to them.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Is
that not weird?
That's weird.
And it's weird, like, when you're talking to someone, they don't even say anything back. Like, you hold the door open or you just say, excuse me to someone, they just blast through. Like, doesn't that seem rude to some degree?
That's something that bothers me if you don't thank somebody for holding the door for you.
Right. But even, like, a guy at his job, yes, he gets paid to do that, but you should still say thank you.
Yeah, right.
Like, he wasn't an asshole and threw your shit in the floor and said, get the fuck out. Like, he did his thing, asked how you were, and let you go on about your way in a timely manner. The least you can do is just say thanks.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Yeah. You don't even have to say thanks. Just say have a good day.
Yeah.
Any kind of acknowledgement, I'm sure, would go a long way.
It's just so weird to me that people just don't speak to each other at all.
Yeah.
Just carry on with their lives.
Before we get on through this little segment, I did want to bring up the fact that we have yet another awful set of presidential candidates.
Yeah, I heard something about that today too. It's like, I mean, between Trump and
it's two molesters, or two people who are pretty much guilty of the sexual allegations that have been placed against them. You can defend them all you want, but like both what Trump has said out loud on national television and the obvious behavior that you can see Joe Biden having towards
women. He's real
women,
handsy.
It's a little weird.
It is very weird. I think it.
And he doesn't. No, I was just gonna say, like, I hate on Trump so much for the fact that he's a fucking idiot and he can barely speak, but Joe Biden is hardly better.
Well, that's what's going to be so funny is when they're having these like debates, it's like nobody's going to know what either of them are talking about.
It's going to be like Herbert the pervert versus other old Nazi guy.
It's going to be like a 4th grade spelling bee or some shit. Like, even them I give more credit.
Right.
Like, I can't waste my time with it, just in general with politics. Once, like, literally I was very invested in it, and this is not a good thing on my part, but once basically Trump got even the majority vote before he was even voted president, I was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I can't proceed with this. I can't entertain this anymore.
Yeah, and he's part of the reason that, like, well, I've never been a humongous fan of talking politics, and because people are, especially the main plane that we have to do it is online, social media and shit. So people are very defensive and very unopen to change when they're behind their keyboard. So that's one thing that got me to delete Facebook and just got me off that in general.
Do you think Twitter's more popular than Facebook nowadays?
I don't know, man, but I can't do Twitter.
I hear people talk about Twitter way more often, but the times I've gotten on there, like, maybe I don't know what I'm looking for. I just don't understand it enough, and I haven't given it enough time, but it doesn't seem to be that interesting.
Not to me. It's not. It's just like a faster Facebook, man, really. Like,
just like it's like
you tweet your thoughts and shit.
Right. You just, it's more short-sighted because you can't do like the full 250 characters or whatever it is.
Yeah,
you can do like 60 or something. So it's just
no, it's 250 is the limit.
Oh, okay.
But Facebook has a much higher limit than that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, you can type a fucking book on Facebook. So basically, it's just a condensed Facebook.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I lost interest in Facebook. I've never been interested in Twitter.
Yeah, I couldn't. I tried. I just wasn't interested. Do you follow your friends? Is that like something you do on Twitter?
Yeah,
like you watch your. Oh.
Yeah, and no idea. I've followed with the account that we have. I've followed like some F1 people and stuff, but that's for Instagram too. Like, Instagram is, I enjoy it more because I'm a very visual person. So like when I follow somebody who I really like Terry Crews or the F1 driver Daniel Ricciardo, I want to like watch stuff that they're doing. I want to see a video of Terry Crews being crazy. I want to watch a video of Daniel Ricciardo fucking destroying a lap, whatever it may be.
No, I get you. It's way more than just like a little short sentence that they have to say.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't really care too much about because Twitter is like, what good has ever been really done on Twitter? Like, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I can't say that for any really social media site.
I'm sure there's some, man. I'm sure. But in 250 characters, I feel like most people will only care about either what's funny or like what's trending or like there's not a lot of big thoughts you can get across in 250 characters.
Well, I think at least it like opens the door for it. Like I know like with Sam Harris, like a lot of people that he gets on his podcast, like he interacts with them through Twitter.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and he like, he'll post something and he'll go through his comments. I couldn't imagine doing that if you get like 5,000 comments. I would never want to do that. I don't know how many. I've never been on his Twitter, but just to go through that and then start having little conversations with people that you think are, could kind of get the idea or either like very against the idea of whatever you're putting across, and then it initiates a conversation that could turn into something beneficial.
Right.
Maybe. Is that the majority use of it? Probably not. I would imagine not.
Yeah. It's mostly to follow celebrities and whatever. And it's just like one of the things that's developed about our politics recently is that our president now tweets constantly.
Yeah, that's
what it seems very fucking childish to me.
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, yeah, and it's never anything. I don't know.
It's a powerful presence to have. I mean, I commend him for using it because it's a powerful resource to use. But at the same time, I don't even know the word to describe the thought I'm trying to purvey here.
It just seems too basic for a president to be involved in like the normal chicanery of everyday people.
Yeah,
I know all the bullshit that goes on the internet. If it was like an actual platform of politics where people were very tuned in on a certain subject, Like that I can maybe understand, but this is just like hodgepodge. This is just whatever goes.
Right.
The only things I ever see from like Donald Trump's Twitter page are like fake tweets that people just use his name, and that shit's hilarious. I think that's so funny.
That is funny.
But I hate politics. I don't want to talk about that anymore.
Yeah, generally, I'm not a big politics fan. We need to have a whole episode on bipartisanship and that kind of stuff.
So did you answer me about what you've been doing with your time?
Not really. We got off subject somehow.
Yeah, that's okay.
But
it's a part of the round table, you know.
No, I've been actually pretty busy, man. I've somehow completely stopped playing video games.
Which is like the complete opposite of everybody else right now.
Right, it's weird. But like I stay up really late, which is like I mean, Brennan knows this, but like I just tend to stay up really late because I'm a Nighthawk kind of person. Number one, and number two, I see it as just like this. This is weird for me to say, but I see it sort of as this defiance of what we've naturally perceived as time.
Some social structures.
Yeah. So like you must go to bed at 11 or you're a failure or whatever, like get to bed now. It's your bedtime. You got to get up at this time. You got to sleep for 8 hours, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I reject all of that.
Well, you still do get up at like 10 or 11 though.
Yeah.
It is pretty late. The only thing that I've thought that makes sense for that, first of all, I do want a certain amount of sleep, or like last night I had like maybe 5 hours of sleep and I was fine with that, but usually I need like 6, 7 at least. But the only good point that I've heard someone make on people being lazy for not waking, or people being lazy for waking up after like 8 o'clock or whatever, is that like the stock market's already closed. Basically, I don't remember actually what time it closes, but like that stuff goes on super early in the morning, and like you've basically missed out on like half of the business of the day if you wake up at like 8 or 9 o'clock.
I get that.
Like a lot of commerce has already taken place, and you're just waking up and trying to get your shit together. Yeah. That's the only reason I can kind of understand it. But if you're not involved in that sort of like environment, then it doesn't really matter. I'm not a stockbroker, and I don't watch it in the mornings. I can just see it after I get up and see what progress or opposite has been made. Sorry, I couldn't think of the other word for progress.
No, you're good, man. I don't know. I'm kind of involved in that stuff. I haven't been since I've been furloughed. I haven't been paying it much attention because I don't have the money to put into it. But I stay up late, either meditating or just writing down ideas. I've been doing a really solid amount of writing lately, which I'm proud of.
Which is so weird. Like in the last month or two, I've had multiple people mention to me that I should write a book. And I don't even know what it would be on. I think what it would have to turn into is like I basically just wrote down a bunch of shit of what I think about over the years, and then eventually just combine it into a book.
Conglomerate it all. Yeah, that's exactly what you should do, man. That's kind of how I'm doing what I'm doing.
Well, yours has like a real purpose and a meaning to it. Mine would just be like I don't want to say a random collection of thought. Like that's what it would be at first until I made a flow to it. But I think it would eventually come out to like some science fiction shit. Because I like writing. I like taking my brain to a place where it's outside of the normal. Once you like write a book, you can be in a completely different world than what you have like in front of you. So I think that's super fascinating about reading books, which is weird I say that because I haven't read a fiction book in I don't know how long. Everything for like the last 2 years has been nonfiction for me. Yeah. I read a chapter of my Stephen King book and I was like, I haven't learned anything. I was like, I gotta put this down. I need to read something useful.
It's good every once in a while, man.
It is. Like I said, I really like how it can take your brain to other places. Like I read those the book about Chris Cowell, American Sniper, and then the one Lone Survivor. Yeah. I read that book too. Nice. Which they're fiction. They're nonfiction for the most part, and they were captivating, man. That was some serious shit because there's actually like battles and crazy shit going on. So I remember just sitting there reading it, and it'd be like 2 hours later. I'm like, oh, I should probably do something else with my day.
Right. Yeah.
But I love books like that where you really just get lost and you just go page after page.
Yeah, reading is good for you, man.
Yeah, most of the stuff I read now is not like that. It's more or less like you have to read a couple pages, like half a chapter to a chapter, and then just sit there and think about what you just read for a while and kind of run it back over and over through your brain. And I end up going back to read a lot of it.
Same, man. That's how it is with most of the books I read, dude. Because I mean, we both have similar nonfiction tendencies.
Yeah.
But I mean, we focus on different subjects. But I do the same thing whenever I read a chapter, even like 2 pages. It takes me a really long time to read even 2 pages because a lot of when I'm reading, a lot of it is heavily math based. So I try to like actually encompass what that means in my head as I'm doing it. I'll do the math on paper as well, and then think about what that means as far as like a three-dimensional representation of whatever object they're describing. Yeah. So it takes a while. Yeah,
that's got to be tough. I mean, I was gonna say it's probably because you're illiterate, but
fair.
It takes someone else reading you those 2 pages for you to understand it.
Yeah, I like being read those as bedtime stories.
Yes. Please read about math.
Yes, right. Sir Maxwell says, "Go to sleep, Chase. I'm going to tell you about capacitors."
Yes, please. That should put you right out, actually.
Right. We spent a long time on our round table, so
it's weird how easy it is just to talk.
Yeah, we'll keep that open as one of our segments. We like to do very entertainment and recurring sections most of the time. That can be one that we keep because I thought that was a good one. Just have a normal section.
Yeah, it's nice not to have to follow any structure. Just kind of, it's like the one time we actually just whatever just bounces in your head, just start talking about.
Right.
Which I was. Yeah, we could do this all day. That's the bad part.
We normally do. Yeah, that's part of why we did this whole thing. So we could just talk.
You could seriously just talk for forever. So, all right. So you want to dig into the subject today?
Yeah, let's jump into space exploration.
Actually, was funny that you were just talking about equations and how like you're trying to basically like visualize what that would be. And I was looking at the rocket equations today, and it's like I can understand what exactly the equations are formulating or outlining, but at the same time, to sit down and write out the numbers it's pretty extreme looking.
Yeah, I mean, like there are a lot of equations when they're not condensed that go over like a page long.
Yeah, that's
stuff like that.
Incredible.
I mean, especially with regards to Charles Steinmetz. He wrote lots of equations that were even 2 pages long and more, and then condensed them down to a couple of lines.
Because you just basically take segments of that equation and turn it into like one symbol,
one variable.
Exactly. So, but I thought it was insane how elaborate I guess the equation was, and the funny thing about a lot of like our laws of gravity and getting into space came from like Newton's laws, right? So we could determine the trajectory and the pull of the gravity and stuff like that. But it's like a whole different subject when you get into when you're launching something, because it has fuel in it and it slowly burns off that fuel not slowly, but it burns off that fuel as you go. So it's not like a normal trajectory. It's something that's getting lighter the entire time it's traveling.
Right.
So those numbers can like change the entire time.
Right.
So that's like what makes a rocket equation a lot not different. It's just it includes Newton's laws of gravity, but you have to add that extra step onto it.
Right. That's something that I feel like, I mean, people can watch the rocket launches and appreciate the rocket launches in their own way. But
even though they're all fake, we talked about this last episode.
Right. Yep. You will have seen us make heavy fun of those fucking morons.
I wonder what they think about the people that died upon like the Challenger, and
I mean, they probably didn't think that anybody died, you know. I don't know.
Okay, so the funerals and
it was all just fake.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But like, it's very difficult to really encapsulate how complicated of a thing it is to put a rocket even into space without a human on it, much less with a human on it, or if you're trying to hit the moon with a rocket.
Jesus. Have you seen... Sorry, go ahead.
No,
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Have you seen the movie... What was it? October Sky?
Yeah.
Remember we used to watch that in school all the time? Like, just seeing how many tries and like what kind of fuel and how you put the wings in the trajectory against all the things pulling down, all the wind that could affect it, all these different variables that you can't really prepare for in a lot of ways, and like they just kept failing over and over and over again. But I don't know, that just shows you how difficult it actually is. And when you see things like SpaceX's rockets that shoot off and then come back and land exactly where they're supposed to land, like they land on a stand. It's not like they just land in the ocean on their side and someone picks them up. It comes back down and lands on the stand that it took off from. Like, that is fucking bizarre, man.
Yeah,
And it's
amazing.
awesome. And they've been able to do it over and over again. I think they've already got like, I haven't kept up with it recently, but they've got to be over 180 satellites that they've already launched into space.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they were doing them like 60 at a time, something like that. So
That's amazing.
yeah,
Wow.
because they're trying to give internet to everybody.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so they're putting, I think the number I saw was about 1,200 satellites into space to give everybody free internet access.
That's amazing.
That is,
And that's another thing that people don't really consider is, number one, the amount of satellites that are around our Earth.
yeah, it's insane.
And number two, satellites in general. Did you know that we have satellites orbiting the Earth, the Sun, the Moon, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn?
I knew that we have satellites. It's weird to call the satellites because the moon's a satellite technically, but
right. Anything that orbits a planet is a satellite.
I knew we have satellites around the moon. Of course, we have thousands around the Earth. I didn't know about the sun and the other places, which is interesting. I know we've sent satellites out that way that have captured pictures. Like you had, I don't think I wrote it down, but no, I didn't write it down. Oh yeah, I did. But the Voyager, like in the 1970s that we sent out, they like took pictures of Jupiter, Saturn, and all their moons and stuff like that.
And the Voyager's still going, man. It's
it's
as of now, or
it's like half a light year away, if that.
Yeah, I just checked I actually checked the NASA website for how far away it is, and they have a tracker. And the Voyager 1 is 13.8 billion miles away. I don't know what that is
In light years.
in light years.
I wouldn't know either.
Because Pluto is 12.9 billion miles from Earth. And Pluto is 5.5 light hours away.
Hours, okay, yeah.
So like 6 light hours away.
Yeah. Yeah, so not even close to half a year.
Not even close.
No.
That's pretty absurd.
That's
A light hour. For those of you who don't know what a light year is, I'll just go ahead and explain that to you real quick.
Yeah,
A light year is the time that it takes for light to travel, or how far our light travels in a year. It's not a unit of time; it's a unit of distance.
Mm-hmm.
Which
is extremely fast. It's the fastest thing in the universe,
as far as we know.
As far as we know, right? Everything else is, I wouldn't say way slower. Like things on Earth are going to be way slower. Like even sound,
sound is way slower.
Yeah, like even like between you and I, technically, I would hear a delay in your voice. There would be a delay.
Right.
Like the exact same time it comes out of your mouth is not the exact same time that I hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with light to like a very, very small fraction of a degree, Like even light takes time to hit you, bounce off you, and come to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be way faster, obviously, than sound would be.
Right.
Because things can break the sound barrier. Like whips, whoosh. Like that's why they make that really loud crack. It's because they're breaking the sound barrier.
Yeah, right, and it's the same deal with thunder and lightning, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lightning. Yeah, which makes thunder. Yeah,
right.
So,
and that's an interesting thing too, is that lightning, without a medium, at each you can tell if you can watch a lightning strike, it doesn't happen within the time that it would take something to light the sky and then go away. It's not like that quick of a flash. It's like it travels from one point to another at basically the speed of light.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you watch a lightning strike happen, it's like a few different juncture points. You'll see it like cascade through the sky, like pow, 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 pow. And each one of those is about as fast as the speed of light. It's like 0.99% of the speed of light.
Wow,
which is pretty interesting.
I heard just while we're talking about the speed of light, in the life of a photon that's created by the sun, the very moment that it is created is the exact moment that it touches your skin, or the time you see it.
Right.
Because it moves at the fastest thing it can, so that it is created and hit you at the exact same time.
And this is where we've talked about this before, but this is where
technically, no, it would take 8 minutes for light to get. Sorry, go ahead.
This is where I would like to bring up the fact that, I call it a fact loosely, the idea that photons aren't a thing.
A lot of people don't know what photons are.
Okay, yeah, photons, like, it's the basic constituent part of light is what scientists describe it as.
A particle or a wave, whatever.
Right. It presents itself in a wave. And basically, there's no proof that photons themselves exist, that basal light particles exist. It's the way that we have been taught to observe them, and the way that we measure light is with, like, the basal unit of photon. It's a similar principle with electron.
The reason would be that you want to break it down, right, to understand it.
Exactly, and it makes sense to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with the unit of the atom, which, like, if you think about the atom, it's easy to it makes perfect sense to break it down into its constituent parts, so that we can observe it and predict it.
It's like a gas cloud. Like, you would want to break that down to see what the constituent atoms and elements are.
Exactly. But that doesn't mean that's exactly necessarily what's there.
It's just our best interpretation of it.
Right.
At this
So
point.
when we say, like, a photon, the way that I see it is a ripple in something. Because it's a wave. Basically everything is a wave of some sort of energy. So I see it as, like, gosh, this is where I'm starting to get into the ether and stuff. We don't have to do that.
No, it's okay. Why not?
Because I could talk about that for 100 years. But basically, for me, the definition of what a wave is means that there has to be a medium for that wave to propagate through. Mm-hmm. That's how I see it.
Like,
waves don't exist without things on the other side of it pressuring to go back in the other way.
So to simply put it, it's sound moving through air molecules.
Yeah.
Like, that's the easy way for, I think, people to understand it on a basis level. Is like, if you're out in space, there's no sound because there's no air molecules for that vibration to travel through.
Exactly.
The same with light traveling.
Right. So it's like an electromagnetic frequency thing. So, like, there's two different types of waves. There's mechanical waves and electromagnetic waves. There's probably more types than that. That's the most basic discrimination that we have. But light is an electromagnetic wave. And for me, when you think of wave, like a wave of water, the wave doesn't exist independent of the water. Like, you can't separate it. Exactly. Right. So I feel the same way about light, the same way about sound. All of those kind of things that we define as waves, there's something mediating the wave. Yeah. That's how I see it. Yeah. We can talk about that a really long time.
Yeah, that could be a discussion. And it's interesting because that's where the whole thought of the ether came from. Like, that's where it stemmed from. Mm-hmm. And I can't think of it right off the top of my head how it was disproved. I don't know if it was due to Einstein.
Yeah, I'm almost 100% certain it was due to Einstein's whole thing of action at a distance. Right. Which, like, the way that I've seen that before is that he says that action happens at a distance because of, I don't want to get too far into this, but it's like it's an issue with space-time.
Yeah, it's the warp of the fabric of space-time.
Right, which is what I've seen as the ether. Like, what I've thought of, like, you can
being space-time itself.
Right. And so it's basically the assumption that that a vacuum in space is literally nothing. Yeah. Which, like, this is getting maybe a little off the rails here, but if you can consider the vacuum of space, if you can consider it, period, it's not nothing.
Yeah, it can be nothing.
For it to be nothing, you wouldn't be able to talk about it. There would be nothing to say.
Mm-hmm. And I think, as far as, like, the data I've heard on it, it's like, even in, like, interstellar space or intergalactic space, there's still molecules of air out there. It's very scarce.
Yeah, right.
Like, if we go interplanetary, there's going to be a even though it's a vacuum, there's still tons of gas molecules and all kinds of things that like inhabit that region. But if you go out there like intergalactic, I was saying there's still stuff there. There has to be something there because, and I see the way you're saying it, like if an asteroid just happened to go through there, like you can't say it's nothing, or the asteroid wouldn't be able to go through there at all.
Right.
It wouldn't be able to travel that space at all.
Exactly.
So just the fact that there is a space-time sort of fabric or continuum would have to create this that medium you're talking about, or this ether.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So we'll talk about that more another time. I did want to just throw in some crazy numbers. Actually, we were talking about the Voyager 1 a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I want to jump back into that because there's some really interesting stuff going on with Voyager 1 that I wrote a lot down.
Yeah.
I thought the listeners would find interesting. So as I said before, the Voyager 1 is 13.8 billion miles away from the Earth, and it is traveling at 38,026.77 miles per hour, according to NASA.
I think that's so awesome.
Right.
I love how they rebounded off of other planets too.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
So basically, what they do to gain speed is it's very easy once it's at that speed to keep it going there, because nothing's going to slow it down, right? So what we do, and we don't have we don't put the fuel on board for it to launch and go that fast in a straight direction and just keep going faster and faster. We launch something towards Saturn or Jupiter, and it basically hits their orbit, gains speed, and then we launch it back off, and then we'll do that on another planet, and it'll kind of just rebound off the alignment of the effing planets and go faster and faster through space. And we have all that timed out to such precision. Like before we ever even launch it, we know the day, we know the year it's got to go. We know, it has to be, if we're just launching a rocket, we'd have to have good weather and stuff like that. But they were I think they were planning on launching something to Mars in 2020, but we missed the window. And like once you miss that window, and like
you got to plan a whole nother time.
Yeah, we have to wait like 3 years or something before we can even try again.
Right. Because
it just doesn't align the right way, without us using like a whole different mechanism to get us there. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I totally cut you off.
You totally did, you motherfucker. But what I was going to say is that on the Voyager 1, there is a gold-plated copper phonograph record.
Oh, yeah.
With images and audio that's intended to tell the story of our planet to extraterrestrials, which is incredibly interesting that they felt the need to do that.
I think it has like a map. It has like certain coordinates of where we are in the solar system.
Yeah, so there's instructions in symbolic language explaining the origin of the spacecraft. So I'm guessing Earth, they give the coordinates of the Earth as far as maybe our solar system goes, or
I
the
think
Milky Way goes.
Yeah.
And then instructions on how to play the record. And they follow that up with the first recording on this phonograph record with spoken greetings in Sumerian all the way through Chinese dialects, like modern Chinese dialects. And then that's followed by a 90-minute selection of music.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's music and stuff on there too. Mm-hmm. It's funny that we went from... It sounds a little conceited almost, but like when you go from that to where we're launching, we literally launched something in space, and had the idea that if something intercepted it, we may have some form to communicate with them, right? And then you have SpaceX, who launches a Tesla car into space.
Did they really?
Yes.
Wow.
While they were testing their rockets, they had to put a payload in, right? And they didn't want to use human, so he put a Tesla. There was a Model X in space, right? Or not a Model X, but a Model S.
That's amazing.
Floating around in space.
I wonder if they're going to sell that Model S once it lands back on the planet for some substantial price.
They can't. It should be in the the foyer, or like the
foyer.
The foyer. I've been studying a lot of French lately, so is that a French
Just
word?
brag to the ladies.
I don't. The bad thing is if you ask me to say something,
blue cheese. That's probably the first fucking
Française.
thing you learn.
Yeah, blue cheese. Yeah.
Do you say bleu?
Bleu.
A bleu on you.
Blue cheese. I can't speak any French hardly. I'm trying though. We'll get there. Get back to me in like 2 years, and I might have something for you.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
2 fucking years.
Yeah. I derailed you once again. on your path?
Not really. I
'Cause I
was
keep
basically done.
interjecting.
But I was remarking on how interesting it was that it was Carl Sagan heading this the group that decided to put these little artifacts for humanity on this probe.
Super cool, man. I have tons of respect for Carl Sagan.
Yeah, Sag. Any relation to Bob Sagan? I mean Saget. Sorry,
Sagan.
I'm wrong.
You know,
but I thought that was really interesting.
I think when people like hear about space exploration, especially for the United States, like they immediately go to like the space race. Maybe people like me, maybe not all people. So like we were the first people to land on the moon, right? So we won the space race, but we wouldn't have done any of that like without Russia. Essentially, like they put the first satellite, they put the first human in space.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first mammal in space was a dog.
Yeah,
It was a Russian dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like just a homeless dog.
I was in Sputnik
Straight
or
dog.
whatever. Yeah.
So they
sure.
they launched that bitch right up there.
That's
But then Russia had the first person in space, first person in orbit around the Earth, and then we just happened to beat them to the moon, supposedly, or according to American history, we beat them to the moon. So.
We recorded a phony moon landing in the middle of the desert in Nevada.
Yeah, pretty much. And we stuck
Why don't
with
you
it.
fix your fucking microphone permanently?
Because it's like, I sit up straight so it's low, and then I slouch and it's too high. It's moving. We're moving together. We are one. And then I for some reason I always think that if I'm too far away, people can't hear me. But then I know that that's not true because I'll go back and watch the video and I'm talking like this, like really into my mic, and it's super loud on there, and like you can just hear like the. I'm like of me talking, so I really don't have to sit that close. But
so we've talked about how far away the Voyager is from the Earth. We're starting to get into the big scale of things. The fact that 13.8 billion miles is only 6-ish light years.
It's hours.
Or light hours. I'm sorry, 6-ish light hours. So I wrote down some really interesting scale of the universe type numbers.
Yeah, please. I was gonna say one, but go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a few, and I want to help get the viewer into the point of view that
really cosmic scale.
Yeah, and our Earth is incredibly small, and you can't really fathom how small it really is. So Pluto, it's taken the Voyager at 38,000-ish. It's changed speeds, but at 38,000 miles per hour, let's just say, it has taken the Voyager more than 30 years to get to Pluto at 38,000 miles an hour. And it's 5.5 light hours away. All right. So I have here the stats on how big the biggest void in space is. So it's like a big cold area. Basically nothing there.
It's just between galaxies, probably.
Well, yeah, I guess, but it's like they call it a super void because it's incredibly oddly void of almost anything.
I have not heard of this.
So it is, the largest void that scientists have found. I forget the name of it, but I did read it. Is upwards of 1.8 billion light years wide.
Yeah, galaxies themselves can be billions of light years wide.
Right.
Like we would just never be able.
I don't even picture that.
Yeah. I don't want to say we'll never be able to do it. It's until we
would have to jump into opposite sides of space.
Yeah,
wormholes.
What did Einstein call them? Rosen bridges.
Rosen bridge.
Yeah. So
you might know that from the Marvel movies. That's the explanation of how Thor got to Earth or whatever.
Oh, that is true. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's actually like a real theory.
Yeah, right. Isn't that funny?
But it is crazy, though. There is no such thing as us even really going to another solar system.
Right.
Like, we're stuck in the Milky Way. Yeah. I mean, we're too small to ever really get out of it. I don't know how we do it. And I think... I'm not going to get into relativity, even though that does have a lot to do with space exploration, but just the fact that if somebody got on a ship right now and traveled at near the speed of light, 99.999 or whatever, and went out for a year and then, circled back and took another year to come back, that would be like thousands of years on Earth.
Right. And you would get nowhere pretty much.
Oh yeah, you would absolutely get nowhere. It would have only been 2 years to you and thousands of years on Earth.
Right.
Which
if that
doesn't blow people's minds, man.
Yeah, if y'all have not seen Interstellar, I would recommend it highly.
Oh,
it's a pretty mind-blowing movie.
I don't care if it's a spoiler to people, but isn't that where they're like, oh shit, we got to take another day or another 3-week detour this way, and that's like another 30 years on Earth or something?
Yeah, it's
crazy.
like they have to take like a 30-minute detour, and they're like, well, that's going to cost us 10 years. Like, fuck, okay.
That blows my mind, man.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to consider the relativistic nature of time. That is a real mind expander there.
Yeah, that gets me good. I mean, just in a very simple way to think, if you want to bring it down to yourself in a more personal level, is that your feet technically age slower than the top of your head does, because it's closer to a higher gravity source than your head would be. Like, obviously on the span of your life, it's not even a millisecond, but overall, technically speaking.
Right, but except your penis definitely ages slower than your feet because of the ridiculous amount of lotion that you conglomerate in that
so
area.
It actually still looks like a newborn baby.
Right. It's even small and everything, too. It's quite healthy.
Yeah, my penis had actually like a Benjamin Button type thing. It's getting worse and worse. I started off like a fucking stud, you know what I mean?
And now your dick is slowly becoming...
Yeah. You could put one of those wart Band-Aids over it.
Just press it down. That's like your waist banding idea. It's like, let me get a Band-Aid.
Yeah. Nope, it's gone. I'm like a Ken doll.
And I do have a couple of more really interesting scale of the universe type numbers that I wanted to throw at you while we're on that. So the largest known star in the universe, which if you guys didn't know, our sun is also a star. It's like a middle-ish size star.
Yeah, it's not very big.
It's not big, but it's not small. The largest known star in the universe, according to multiple sources, is nearly 2,000 times the solar radius of the sun. So, if it's called UY Scuti, by the way.
Nice. That would probably collapse into a black hole at some point.
I'm sure. But if it was at the center of our solar system, its edge would reach as far as Jupiter.
Holy fucking Christ.
Isn't that incredible?
In the center of our galaxy?
Our
solar system? Wow. That's insane.
That's a large fucking ball. Like, wow, man.
Yeah, Earth
that's
would
hard
not
to
exist at all.
I mean, like, you can't even think about how far away Jupiter is. Like, you look up in the sky and it's a dot. Like, you can barely see it with your naked eye.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to fathom on that sort of scale. I mean, it would be a bunch of trips from here to Charlotte. Let's just say that.
And one more thing before we move on is that I did write down the largest nebula known, and I didn't know what a nebula was before I started looking into this.
Where it's like a star nursery.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like a cloud of gas and dust in space that is slowly forming new stars, and it's caused by supernovas, other exploding stars. The circle of life. All right, sorry.
Well, we'll cut that part out.
But it's the largest known nebula is over 1,800 light years across. So just for perspective, remember the sun to Pluto is 5.5 light hours.
That is insane. It blows me away.
That's, nuts. Real nuts.
Just a random fact that I had that doesn't have anything to do with the cosmic scale of the universe, but does pertain to black holes, is just, like, if the Earth became a black hole, it'd be like the size of a plum. Like, it would still have the same gravitational pull. Like, the moon would not change a bit if the Earth collapsed to the size of a plum.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, blows my penis off.
Yeah, I don't
know what's left of it.
that C4 accident a long time ago.
Yeah, but I overall, I think it's, we are just a tiny blip in this vast space that we live in. I mean, and we talked about this a little last time. I was talking about Carl Sagan and stuff of us being the quote better than I do. But we're just a small little speck of dust.
We're a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam.
Yeah, exactly. We're nothing. But I in the grand scheme of things, it seems that way. But we still have to marvel at the things we've been able to accomplish. Like, we did talk about all the satellites in space, and like that's not an easy feat to put satellites in space. They control our they don't control it. Sorry, we do surveillance on the weather. We're able to have like weather predictions. You have the weather channel because of satellites. We have cell phones because of the satellites. We have, navigation. They take images from space. We can do all crazy type things like that, that somebody somewhere sat down and just started thinking this stuff out and started writing the plans for it. And then it eventually came together where we shot the shit off into space, and it's able to do all that kind of stuff. Like even Elon Musk, like he's not original in the fact that he's launching things to space, but the scale and the people that think like that, I think are so amazing. That are, not a lot of people are sitting here thinking like, how do I give internet to the entire world, so that everyone's on a level playing ground here? Well, let's launch 1,200 satellites into space to orbit the Earth and give everyone satellite or internet. Like, people aren't like that. So I think it's beautiful in our tiny little scope of the universe how far we've come and how great we can do things. But if you do think about it on a cosmic scale, it's nothing. It's not even like a drop in the bucket to anything. But I don't know.
It's all subjective. Everything is subjective,
it's
and
daunting.
it's a big step for us.
Yeah, it's daunting to think about it in that sort of way. But I don't implore people. I like when people think about, our place in the world, so they're not maybe so egocentric or conceited and think that, humans are the purpose for life and stuff like just shut up. But at the same time, I can totally understand when you think of things in that sort of existential state that you get this feeling of non-importance or, we're really not special.
Completely irrelevant, yeah.
Yeah, we are completely relevant, but...
Irrelevant.
What did I say?
Relevant, I think.
Oh, sorry. We are completely irrelevant.
In the cosmic scale of things.
Yeah, exactly. But we still have the ability to be aware of our consciousness, and we can speculate the past, present, and future. And so we have those abilities, so enjoy it. As far as we know, there's nothing like us close to us anyways. We think that it's out there somewhere, but we haven't found anything like us. So in our little small solar system, as far as we know, we are pretty damn special. So if people get down thinking about the cosmic scale of things in our little region, it's amazing what we've been able to accomplish, in 200,000 years even, when the Homo sapiens came about.
Right.
Or 250, whatever it is, whatever the number is speculated to be at this point.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. And what sucks about space exploration in general is that, besides us sending people to the space station, which everything launches out of Russia, I'm pretty sure. Most of the people that go to the space station, that launches from Russia. Because after like the Challenger, and then we had another shuttle that was like coming in. It was like about to land in Houston. It had like orbited for however long and was coming back down and blew up on its way down back to the landing pad. It killed 7 people. Same with the Challenger. It only lasted for like 70 seconds and then it blew up and killed 70 people. But what I'm getting at is it sucks that ever since that point, we've pretty much stopped. Like we haven't sent people to the moon. You would think that we sent people to the moon in 1969, how far we would have made it at this point, and we haven't gone any further.
It's a huge monetary endeavor. We don't have as much of a reason because we were trying to exhibit our global prowess at that point.
Yeah, which is cool that Earth Day just passed. I'll say a little about that. Because that was really cool. That was one of the satellites that was orbiting the moon. Like that was the first picture we got of the Earth itself, and that's where we came up with like Earth Day and like how spectacular.
When was that?
It is.
What are you talking about?
When was it? I can't remember. I heard this just the other day. It was like probably in the 70s. I don't know.
Sure. Like that's what I meant to say back when we were talking about Carl Sagan and the Voyager, the mode of dust suspended at a sunbeam, all that stuff. Carl Sagan ordered them to turn the Voyager around. I don't know if you knew this, but it was like a big deal. As the Voyager was leaving the solar system, he ordered his crew to turn the Voyager around at their better judgment. It was basically like a huge cost of energy just to turn the thing around.
Yeah.
And take a picture of the Earth.
Yeah.
And they did it against their better judgment, took the picture, and that picture is really famous. You can look it up online. Yep. And that's where he got the mode of dust suspended in a sunbeam from, is because that's what it looks like. It looks like we're just a speck of dust.
Yeah, it's just,
it's
and
beautiful.
I got chills actually. I think it's so beautiful that we were able to go out that far into space and actually look back at ourselves from a different perspective, a perspective that nothing else has ever shown us before. And someone was just like, let's take a picture of ourselves. Like the first Earth, it wasn't the first Earth selfie, but from that far out anyways.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's just the most epic selfie possible.
Seriously, I think it's amazing.
Consider that, man. Like all of the hopes and dreams, all of the empires that have existed on our planet, all of the family that you've ever known, all of their family that they've ever known, any of those humongous kind of events that you've perceived with great importance in your life have all taken place on this little, objectively microscopic
literally
thing.
Piece of dust.
Yeah.
But also what's cool about that is all of those empires and all of that, all of these families and all this hard work has also led us to the point where we can see that now.
Yeah.
Where that's led us to where we create the science and technology that can launch into space and look back at ourselves to see how minuscule we really are.
Right.
And that's where it does become a little daunting and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's amazing. I think it's amazing. It's something we shouldn't keep up. I mean, it's something we shouldn't give up on.
Right.
We should just give up on all space exploration. So I think the cool things that we have to look forward to in space exploration, first of all, they're still doing repairs and modifications on the Hubble telescope, which is like a fucking Greyhound bus floating around our Earth that takes pictures out in space, which is amazing. And it's been up. I think it's the most useful scientific instrument that we've ever had. It's given us more data than any other scientific instrument ever. And I didn't write that down. That's just something.
It's weird how it can get such detailed pictures of our obviously fake
projected
dome.
Yeah. Of our projection.
That's incredible how much detail they put into that dome, man.
Right,
it's so
right.
Wow.
It's all fake.
Yeah, right.
But again, just things to look forward to. They are working on the new Mars rover that will be on Mars. We've had a few rovers on Mars starting back from like 1997. They had like a fucking, it was like the size of a microwave. It was like 23 pounds, like the size of a microwave that first landed.
And the new one they're putting on there is like it's like the size of a van.
It's like an SUV.
Yeah,
it's the size of an SUV. It's like 2,000 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that we have on there now, so we just had we had Curiosity, or was it Spirit and Opportunity? Out of Spirit, Opportunity, and Curiosity, they weren't supposed to last but like a few months, and then they ended up lasting like over a year. Like that. First of all, that should just be a round of applause to all the scientists and engineers that worked on it. That's fucking amazing. But the Curiosity was like, it was about 1 ton. It was about the size of a small SUV. It had 17 cameras on it. It had like an extendable arm that would go out and take pictures of itself against like the Mars background and stuff like that. It actually had a selfie stick on it. But the fact that we can launch something there and just explore it. And it's cool because there's this, if you go and like watch, there's a documentary on Netflix about it, but you go and watch it and I can't remember how long it takes. It takes like 30 minutes for a transmission to get there and 30 minutes for it to get back or something like that. So the guy that's literally operating it with like a joystick and shit like that, like he looks like he's playing like a high-tech video game. He'll move and do like a few adjustments to it to go like, go 6 feet forward, take a slight right, go whatever, puts in all that.
But it's on a serious time delay.
Oh, so he has to wait an hour just to see what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got stuck in sand a lot. Like their solar panels got covered up with dust and sand, so they'd sit there all winter until the spring came back out and it cleared the dust off of it.
Wow.
And then they'd be able to drive it again and stuff like that.
Amazing.
Like storms would blow the dust off of it and they'd be able to drive it after months of it sitting stuck in the sand.
That's awesome.
It's so awesome. It's so incredible. I think it's definitely whatever happened that like just space exploration and astrology just happened, or cosmology just happened to grab my attention a few years ago when I started studying this pretty hard. I just don't see how it can't just blow you away, the things that we're able to accomplish, that we can just put things out there that, I mean, I don't know. If you think about just your everyday, it's so far from your everyday life that it just doesn't seem obtainable. But that's why we need those people that think about the unobtainable, so that one day it can be.
A lot of people don't even pay any attention, man.
I know, that's what's sad, and it makes me so sad, because if everyone were like that, we wouldn't know what the Earth looked like. We wouldn't know what the moon's like. We wouldn't know the materials of Mars and stuff like that. It would just be irrelevant to all of us, and we just go through our lives and die out and just whatever. And like, that makes me sad that we waste time when we could be doing crazy things like that.
Right.
Have you heard of I know I'm monologuing here. Oh shit! What's Bill Nye is the CEO of Planetary Society. Sorry, I couldn't think of it.
Yeah.
So they're actually sending something out into space. It's called a light sail.
Yeah.
So it's cool. So it starts off like, maybe, I know people that may be listening, it's maybe like a foot by foot type box almost thing, and it opens up. So they launch it out into space like that, and then it opens up, and the light from the freaking sun is what propels it through the universe and through space. That's what?
That's awesome.
Like, who thinks of it? Like, how do we, like, who? Yeah. How long would it take for just an average person to come up with some shit like that and actually build it, make it? It would never happen. I mean, I know it takes scores of people to come up with it.
I mean, I think it was Einstein that said this kind of famous line: basically every scientist ever stands on the shoulders of giants. They're standing on the accomplishments of other people and building their own legacy on those.
Yeah, exactly. It's just about adding to it, and I wish everyone just kind of, I know it's unreasonable with almost 8 billion people. I mean, it's unreasonable to think that everybody would care about the progression of, especially space exploration. Even our
people are struggling to feed themselves. So
even our fucking government doesn't care about space exploration. NASA's budget's like nothing.
But they care about space war.
They care about fucking the military. Yeah. As long as the military is involved.
Space Force.
Yeah, I mean, which I don't mind Space Force. I mean, the Air Force already controls space, so it doesn't make any sense. But, what you were saying earlier is like, I think you said something about how it's not a good business plan to basically do this kind of stuff. That's why, like,
oh, right. Yeah, it's not really worth their time as much anymore.
Right. So that's why you kind of have to have governments do it. Like, when you get private enterprise in there, like, there's no business that's going to be like, well, let's just send people to Mars. Like, where's the return on that? There's no return on any investment. You're spending billions, if not trillions of dollars to get people there, and there's no money coming back in. So that's something like a government has to do.
Yeah. Because a government is pretty much a corporation, like,
and they just print money.
Yeah,
they can get as much as they want and spend it, and they don't have to make any return on that. Because that's what we're for. We give them the return.
Yeah,
we work every day so that they can do this kind of shit.
All right, man. So we've done an okay job. I mean, the best we can do with this space exploration topic is cover the generalities of it and say some really interesting stats and just kind of have a little hodgepodge of things to talk about. I think we've done a decent job with that.
Overall, you think about the first people to look into space and wonder where we are in space and where we came from, and then now we have things that are past Pluto that are looking back at Earth, noticing how small and I mean, we've come a long way, and it's beautiful, and I hope everyone takes the time to think about how far we've come and how many people have worked extremely hard to get us where we are in life. So don't take it for granted. That's all I have to say. We have a lot more to look forward to in the next, in 2030, they're hoping to have people on Mars.
Yep. I'm sure it'll happen. It doesn't seem like that far out of reach. So.
Yeah, not to us. I mean, luckily I don't have anything to do with it. So, because
I like it right here.
I wouldn't even know where to start, though, you know? I don't just jump really hard, maybe.
Can I grow pot here? All right,
That's
man.
great.
So let's move on to our last segment called Spill It.
Spill it.
So this is basically just a game where we're gonna blurt out random things, and then the other person has to respond immediately.
Okay.
So funny things could come of this.
Good.
You ready? We're gonna go one at a time. I'm just gonna hit Brennan with. We can go 5 at a time.
Okay, go 5
because we
at a
both
time.
wrote 10.
You gotta hit them fast.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, go. VHS tapes.
Sex.
The Great Wall of China.
Chinese people.
The U.S. government.
Corrupt.
Pasty white people.
You.
Cigarettes.
Me.
Nothing you said.
This is the first words I could think of. I didn't want to think on it too long. So that was
That's what you got to do. That's the game.
All right. Here's my first 5.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Doritos.
Pickles.
Flat-chested grandmas.
Guys.
Lucifer.
The devil.
Sparkling water.
Spartacus.
Kansas City football.
The president.
Okay, that was 5. It's hard to think of something relevant that quick.
Right, yeah. Most of the time it's irrelevant. It's just like the
What'd
first
you say
thing
for sparkling water?
Spartacus. Because it started with Spar, and I just immediately went Spartacus. When I heard
Spartacus.
that.
Close enough.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1, go. Major Payne.
Bald head.
Lox and bagels.
Lots of bagels.
Lox and bagels.
Pizza bites.
Sir Lancelot.
Spear.
Graham crackers.
Teddy's.
Yeast.
I immediately go to a yeast infection.
That is definitely a clip. We're using that. Oh, buddy, are we using that?
All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. 1 iron pipe.
Uno.
Crusty socks.
Butt crust.
America.
Fuck yeah.
Catholic priest.
Rapey.
Fresh lawn trimmings.
Broccoli.
I like this game.
That's a good one. I do like this game.
That was funny.
Yeah, we'll have
America was what? Fuck yeah?
Yeah. America.
Fuck yeah.
Amazing.
That was good. That was a good segment. I wish I had like a couple more to ramble off to you.
You're right. You can fucking write them down right now for all I care. We're both really good at writing random shit.
No.
Okay, fine.
Camel humps.
Let's just end right there.
Okay.
Guys, you have been wonderful. If you have stuck with us thus far, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
This has been Cause and Defect, episode 11, all about space exploration, the show for serious conversations with not so serious people. Did I even... I was focusing on you cutting me off, and then like...
No, you said it right.
Did I?
You said it right.
I thought I was slurring my
and
words
I
there for a
was way
second.
more thinking about myself than you, so...
Per usual.
Yeah. So we said it right.
Okay.
In general, I
Fair.
came off the right way.
All right, guys.
Cool.
See ya.
See ya. Bye. Oh, I gotta pee so bad.
Same. That's partially why I ended.